curious just because you brought up being friends and understanding how people worked, like the relationship side of it. And because I also am very bad around women, mostly because like I look at them and I'm like,
an unfortunate skill to not have, a really unfortunate skill to not have. Fortunately, I am, not to toot my own horn, a little too good around women. You know, bat them away. No, I'm just kidding.
So what would be your biggest contributor to a long-lasting relationship, in your opinion? Like one of the big things that really get you to connect with people, regardless of what your internals say.
Do you mean like my relationship with my fiance, or just like in general?
Understanding women, but also understanding how people work from a I have no idea who this person is, but I want to be friends with them instead of like trying to date them or like just like a lot of the problems when I have is whenever I talk to a woman or I look at someone, I'm like, she's beautiful. I can't talk to her because I'm going to be focused on her physicality and not her intelligence. And then there's the other side of it. It's like, oh, she's ugly. I don't mind talking to her.
This is going to sound absolutely ridiculous. Going back to college, I really never have had a problem around women. I never saw them as anything other than just like another person. So it never like really affected me that way.
They're people?
They probably shouldn't drive or vote. Cut that out, Aaron. But in all seriousness, like when I was in college, like we had to do this, like I was in I gotta cut this out. There was this guy in college who said this thing to me one time, and I thought it was the funniest thing in the world, where it was just like, women are just like raccoons. And I was like, where is he going with this? And he was like, they're more afraid of you than you are of them. And I was like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, but it also makes a lot of sense. Like, if you put pressure on any social interaction, like, it's going to go exactly how you think it's going to go. But it's true. Like, if you go up to somebody and you just start talking, you'd be the one to initiate. Like, no one is comfortable in those situations. Like, you approaching a woman is not a comfortable thing for you. It's not comfortable for them. But it's like how you show up to that makes it more achievable, or whatever goal you're trying to meet, whether it be a friendship or whether it be a relationship or a partner, whatever it is. Like, it's all about how you present yourself. One of the things I'll say on that is, like, I wasn't struggling because I actually, similar to you, like, I don't necessarily need like a lot of friends. I prefer to have them, but like when I moved to Virginia, like I didn't know anybody, and I also wasn't like putting myself out there to try and meet people because I don't really care. I had jiu-jitsu, I had my hobbies, and that was good enough for me. I had my fiance, I was good. But then I started going to this UFC gym, and like they basically just said like I could come for free because they didn't have anyone that was like decent at jiu-jitsu. I don't know, really worked out for me. So I was going there for free, and I met Aaron, and I was talking to and this is a guy we train with for content.
Not me.
Yeah. I met Aaron, and he's become one of my like best friends, like if not my best friend. And it all started because he was the one to push the envelope. Like, he started talking and he started engaging, and I became such good friends with him. I was like, man, why don't I do this more with other people? Why don't I always thought it was weird, like as an adult, to like try and make friends. I was like, I got plenty of friends. Like, I don't need to make more friends. But then like you start thinking about it, you're like, man, like I actually don't have anyone here that I could just like grab a beer with or hang out with afterwards. And when Aaron took that step into my life to be like, hey, like basically like he didn't come up to me like, hey, let's be friends. But he's just started engaging with me more on like a more personal level, not so much of like, this is the only thing we talk about. We became really good friends. I kind of adopted that, mentality and brought it to other areas of my life. So when I started at XCal, I was like, I can do this with everybody and just become friends with everybody. And like, I have so many friends now because of that from XCal, because like Aaron kind of introduced that, like, hey, you can do this as an adult, and it's literally just about how you show up to it. Like, it doesn't have to be like this big like hoopla that you're like probably making it out to be in your head. Like, it's also, what's the fear of rejection? Like, you already don't have that person in your life. Like, if you go up to a guy and you're trying to be friends with him, and he's like, oh, I don't want to grab a beer with you after, or like, no, I don't want to do your podcast. It's like, okay, well, you just go about your day.
Yeah, you haven't lost anything.
Nothing. Same thing with women. It's like, just go up and talk to them. See, like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, they're just going to be like, no. Or they're just going to be like, oh, I already have a boyfriend. It's like, all right, well, I don't care. See ya.
What about boundaries? Because I think one of my problems is that I'm too much me. That I'm like too much of like I show what most people would take like a couple of like interactions to have before they become like they get on that personal level. For me, I just get right into it because I just crave those social interactions. So
I mean, I think it's just you be yourself. I mean, always, like, who cares? Like, if you're too much for somebody, then that's just not the person you want in your life. Like, at the end of the day, like, who cares? If they don't like you, then they were never meant to be in your life anyway. If they're going to judge you based off of one interaction, or they're going to judge you based off of you just being yourself, you don't want them in your life anyway. You're wasting a lot of time pretending to be something that you're not, just for them to eventually find out who you are eventually. You know what I mean? So like you're cutting that step out, which is like the best thing you can do, which a lot of people don't have. And you should have confidence in that when you're going up to a girl to be like, hey, I'm Aaron, whatever. Like, I don't know what you say from there. Like, I haven't done it in years.
I've got 10 things, but they're all racist.
What? What's your go-to pickup line? If you,
I don't have a pickup line.
Yeah,
because I'm not interested in pickups, and I'm interested in like good relationships, but stuff where I can focus on the person and not really like, oh wow, she's beautiful.
yeah. I think the best pickup line is, hey, and then you put your hand out and like you just say your name, like I'm so and so. That's the best pickup line. Like no one introduces himself.
Yeah, I wouldn't again. Like you go to like pickup line, I'm like, dude, I'm waiting till marriage.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to do anything crazy because I know my dad would kill me if I did.
What? Try and pick up a girl?
Mm-hmm. Well, pick up for stuff that I shouldn't be worried about. Yeah, not wasting my time. That's more just my family. High standards.
No, a lot of people are like that. I mean, I never really had that like conversation with my parents ever. Like,
Well, my dad never said it either. He just like, well, it's just something like you expected. Like the way my family is, and I would say a lot of, I don't know, maybe Asian culture, but just the way my family is, it's like there's a certain standard you set for yourself, and you don't go below that standard, because if you do, you just become like everyone else. You just become another person in the matrix, like another person just getting the sexual gratification or that just instant like, hey, I hooked up with this girl. Look at me. No, I'm like, sure, some people got a lot of like alpha points out of that, but I don't find anything like I'm trying to get that out of my mind to like think about that first thing. Of course, like 21-year-old sex drive is not really helping.
So for you, it's not even like a religious thing.
No, it's not religious. It's just a moral.
Interesting.
Like a
Genuinely, I've never heard of anyone abstaining based off of that principle, which is, I'm not knocking it. It's just an interesting thing. I've never heard it. It's always tied in with religion. So there has to be something to it. I think there's a reason that every religion in the world pretty much says wait till marriage, right? Like,
I know this is gonna sound really like cheesy, but there's this one person on Reddit who was like, I have this great relationship with my girlfriend and we've never done anything sexual, but that's because we have such a deep emotional connection with each other that we just have the one thing, and sex is just a secondary, like, oh yeah, we do that for, for fun, for pleasure, whatever, but it's not the main reason why we're together.
right.
And that's what I want, and also something that I need.
Do you find it challenging to start dating or to do any of that stuff with that in the back of your mind? Like, do you feel like that kind of like rules you out of a lot of like women in today's culture, where it's like if you're not going to be willing to cross that line with them, then you're kind of out of luck? Because I mean, I would have trouble, especially being like, dude, the fact that you're 20 years old, like having that kind of discipline is insane to me. Like, reflecting upon things, like I talk about this with my fiance all the time. Like, if I could go back in time and wait, I might have. Does that, or do you feel like you are being kind of like excluded to a certain dating population because you're waiting?
Here's your question. I don't think so. The one thing I've noticed is that because I'm not saying like everyone is going to have the same mindset as I do. Like,
right.
I'm not saying like people are going to have fun and they're going to, play with their 20-year-olds, their young life and everything. What I find is that when I have those like, I don't want to say boundaries, because I feel like that's overused in like popular culture. But
yeah, but it's a boundary.
It just becomes like another, like once I cross that, it just becomes, there's a smaller subset of women, but I can identify them easier because I know that they're much better quality than everyone else.
Interesting.
It's like going to XCal. A lot of the times, like especially in the evenings, you'll go there, you go into the fitness area to go to Jiu-Jitsu, and you'll see all these girls.
Right.
Like, but there's a difference between a girl and a woman. A girl, you can see the first thing you see is her butt. Why am I looking at something and not their face?
I don't know, Aaron. When I see a woman, I look right at their face. I look at their eyes because I'm not a misogynistic pig. And I'm saying that right into the microphone so that it goes on record.
They are facing away from me. I cannot look at their face. But my eyes will go at the neon.
I understand. I'm just kidding.
Pink, the tightest pants in the world.
They're trying to trap you. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, the what do they call it? There's like in advertising, there's two ways. There's like maybe not the biggest ways, but two ways to get people's attention: the appeal to the male sex drive, and then the appeal to women's need for beauty gratification or validation. Sorry, beauty validation. So. At least obviously there's like more criteria and that's not the only things, but the one thing that I notice that even the most beautiful women, like physically beautiful, if they have it in their eyes and their face and their composure, the way they hold themselves, they have a different way of going through life. You can see that instantly. Even if they're drop dead gorgeous, you can see like you can't mess with them. Like there's like nothing will get past them.
You must have some kind of like radar that I don't have because I've never noticed that.
I'm just hyper aware.
No, I mean maybe that's like a superpower you have from not doing it. Yeah, you're just like, whoa, I can sense other virgins in the room. Like, it's like a superpower.
Well, it's not even that, and I could be wrong because I don't want to talk to them, so I don't know if I'm right or wrong.
Yeah, dude, we got to get you talking to women though. That's crazy. Like, just go up and talk to a chick.
Okay, shut up.
No,
I got stuff to do. I got things to get done.
No, but if you have a good, like, strong woman that loves you and cares about you, and is like, they'll be there for all that stuff. Like, it doesn't make life worse.
I know.
It doesn't mean you can't achieve your goals. Like, you just have a partner in that, and that's like what you should be hoping to achieve.
That's what I want. I want to get someone high quality, or better yet, be with someone who wants to become high quality.
That's true. There is a potential element where you can be like, you can recognize potential.
There's three things that women look for in men. One of the things is the future potential of being able to provide, even if they can't do it now. It's just that future potential, and
that's something I'm deathly afraid of as well. Honestly.
Oh yeah, you have no potential.
No, I'm not kidding. Like people tell me all the time what potential I have for great things. Like my fiance being a big advocate of that. Like she tells me all the time, like what an amazing person like I am, but also have the potential to be for some of the more areas of life that I'm not as technical in, technology, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But she tells me all the time, like, but the ceiling is like, there is none for me. But then you have to live up to that. And that's kind of a hard pressure that I don't think like certain guys talk about enough, because there is that pressure for somebody like me to like live up to that standard. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out this game of life the same way that you are. And like, it's hard.
That is what she's looking at. Is that you're still figuring it out. And
of course.
You're not just stagnating yourself.
100%. And I genuinely do believe that I have no ceiling. Like I really do believe that about myself, because that's just kind of always how I've been, unfortunately. Like it's like I said, my entire life, it has not been deserved. I'm working on that deserving portion where I feel like I have that confidence and can carry that into anything that I do. But yeah, I have to live up to that now, because I've agreed to, essentially, like when you ask somebody to marry you, you are saying like, hey, I have to provide for, I have to find a way to make it work. I can't just, ignore my responsibilities. I can't just off because I feel like it now. Like I agreed to sign up to take care of someone and more, when you have a family, when you have kids, and like, you have to live up to that.
Yeah. There's two things that popped into my mind, kind of separate, but somewhat similar. First one is kind of just a thought that came into my mind. Stagnant water is the one that breeds all the poisons. Like algae is where it grows. You'll get like, you don't go into stagnant water, you go into free flowing water. That's where you get drinking water. It's where, or you get water and then you boil it and everything. And the other one was, have you ever seen Fiddler on the Roof?
Aaron, do you think after this conversation we've had so far that I've ever seen
I thought you were like half intelligent.
No, I am intelligent. What do you have to be
It's basically a story of a father who has three main daughters, and each of them they start going from his life and they start marrying off and everything. When they were asking for, when the future husband was asking for the main character's permission to marry his daughter, he said that he promises that his daughter will never go hungry. He says it a lot better in the movie.
Yeah.
But essentially, like, if you can, like, I want to be able to get to the point where I can look because I know whoever I date, whoever I marry, is going to be someone 20 times higher quality than I will ever be. Like that's a given. That's what I hope. I'm not saying that I'm stupid. I'm saying that she has skills that I don't have, and we complement each other for that. But I want to be able to like look her father dead in the eyes and say she will not go hungry.
I wish I could have done that. You know what I mean? But I don't think right now in my life where I could. I mean, I could say that like confidently, like that'll never happen because I will die before it does. But I wish I was in a position already where I could say that, and I know that's something I have to continue to strive for. Dude, but talking to you about these women, dude, like I'm not saying you have an unrealistic standard of like what a woman is or what it should be, but you put them pretty high up. Like what your ideal woman is like so high up on this like imaginary totem pole. Like, do you ever feel like you're potentially overshooting? No. You just think that there's just
I would rather be single in my entire life than choose someone who's going to make me a worse person.
I don't think a woman, the right woman, could make you a worse person. But
well, no, of course not. No, she would make me a better person.
But I'm worried about your standard for it. You know what I mean? Like, because women have, like, other women have flaws too. You know?
No,
what I mean?
I'm not saying she has to be perfect.
It was coming off that way.
Perfection is an illusion. Like,
yeah, of course.
I roll with Dave. I can easily see. I think, oh, I'm perfect. Nope, I know nothing. I'm not saying she has to be perfect. I'm saying that she has to be at a certain degree where I'm not trying to help her with everything, where she's not dragging me down. She's like, it's a partnership, not a liability.
I'm very invested in your love life now. Like, I really just want to see this whole like fairy tale thing play out. I don't mean it like a fairy tale, like it's crazy. I mean it like, I hope that you get exactly what you're looking for. Like, I hope that it because it sounds like you have very strong convictions about it. And I hope that it happens. Like, I really do. Like, I don't think that you should spend the rest of your life single just because you can't find the person who lives up to that standard in your head. And that's the thing that I worry about is like what's in your head versus what's real. I hope that those two things can align.
Yeah, that comes down to, I'm not so much worried about, I don't think it's really, maybe I didn't explain it properly. It's not about quality. It's not about having someone who is already the best at what they do. Because I know a lot of the strongest women I know have relationships with either their boyfriends or their husbands that because of that relationship, it made them stronger. Like they don't have as many insecurities. They're able to have a smile every day, even if the world's going downhill. It's because of those other people that made them better people. And I completely understand that there is the work that has to be put into it. I'm just trying to find someone who I can provide value to and they can provide value to me.
Would you be with a woman that's dated a lot of guys and not like also saving themselves for marriage?
It depends on what they learned from that.
Okay, that's good. That tells me a lot because no one's perfect. No person is perfect. We all make mistakes. We all do things like that maybe we regret or whatever it may be. But I think that there's certain people in this world who, I'm not just saying you, because I've talked to other people about this who are like demanding perfection that does not exist. And like, I think if you're closed off to somebody who's like had a previous relationship and like, again, you're waiting and maybe they didn't, like, I think to rule somebody like that out of your life is just, I don't want to say arrogant, but it's not living this life of like forgiveness and like, you know, it's holding yourself maybe higher than you need to.
Kind of what I touched on earlier about like knowing the difference between a girl and a woman. Let's say worst case scenario, other than like the no-goes that I have. The people like for me, I would never marry anyone with tattoos. Like that's just like, I see that massive turnoff. Like as a friend, perfectly fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
Know a lot of people, wonderful people, men and women.
And again, not religious.
No. It's just like I see that and I'm like,
not for you.
No.
Interesting.
That's like there are no-goes. Like there's just no compromises in my head because it's just so buried in subconsciously. It won't change now or ever. But there's also, if I meet someone because of who they are, and regardless of how their past shaped them, if they're showing me their genuine self, who they are and who they want to be, and also learning from their past mistakes, I don't really care. But if they continue to make those same mistakes and not learn from them, I'll probably figure that out in the friendship stage.
Right.
If I can't be friends with them if I can't be friends with them, there's no way I can love them for the rest of their life. Because I have to accept them for who they are. And if I don't like who they are, they're not going to go any further than a friend.
How long do you like? Because you don't want to get stuck in that window of like, you know, friend zone. Like, what is your appropriate time? Because I don't know how many women you've dated.
None.
I was gonna say it's hard to navigate that boundary of like friendship to partner. And if you wait too long, I always feel like I've heard, and I think in my own life, it's like you want to have female friends, that's fine or whatever. But if you're serious about someone or you see someone as a potential partner, it's almost better off to start off by being very clear and upfront, like, hey, I don't want to just be your friend. Because if you play that game, you could be playing that game the rest of your life. And you don't want that either. You're just teasing yourself. They're teasing you. It's just, you don't want that. So I always find it to be, or I have in my past to be like, this is what I want. I'm attracted to you.
I'm just trying to get to the barrier of talking, to just communicating. Not even.
You have a podcast with Hannah on Wednesday. Are you nervous for that?
No.
Okay, because it's just like
she already has someone. Like that's like
so. If the option's there, that's when you get like nervous.
Yes, when I know there's no way, like they're so secure with their relationship, or not insecure, like they have a relationship. That's it. No, not even gonna think about it. And then that's perfectly fine because I can talk to them as if like another human. But then it's like, oh, is this person gonna be someone I want to be with? That changes. But going back to what you were saying about like navigating that between friendship and having that, I'm not going to worry about that right now because I know at some point it's just going to be a feeling. Because there's one thing I have learned, which is if I really love someone, there's no reason why I should hide it.
How have you learned that?
Through a good friend, through
a good female friend that you love.
Yes.
Yeah. See what I mean?
Yeah. But that's also like she was going another path, and I was completely like my gut feeling was telling me this would never work out. Like it may work a couple months, but she has her own path, and I'm going somewhere else, and that's perfectly fine. She's a reason why this all got started. And so
one of my questions that I was going to ask you was, why did you start this podcast?
I might get into that a little bit later.
Get into it now.
So I was talking to her, and I liked her. I had a crush on her, and so I asked her if we could have lunch. Just something. It wasn't like she was already seeing someone. Nothing wrong with that. But that conversation that we had was the first like emotionally connected. Because I didn't really understand my emotions too much. I was like, understand logic pretty well.
No one else does. I mean, yeah, emotions are tough.
But when I had that conversation, I realized how much I was craving those connections, to have those like one-on-one interactions with people and really like understand who they are internally, but not from like both the logical and the emotional level. So when I had that conversation with her, it was like, I need to keep doing this. I need to figure out something that makes me want to talk to people, to be able to understand them, to learn from their mistakes and not to make the same mistakes again. Like just in this one, I don't even know how long we've been doing this, but just in this one little thing.
Good amount of time, yeah.
Yeah. I've referenced 3 other podcasts. And that's just because like there's good things from every single thing that I learned from someone else, and understanding their perspectives, understanding their viewpoints, but also how they got there. So it's like she was the reason why it all got started, but she's not the reason why it got sustained. So hopefully one day I'll get her on the podcast, and I really do. But there's a professional conflict of interest with what she does. So
she's also a podcaster.
No, she works for a company that it'll be like a gray zone that's like not really allowed, but maybe nothing wrong. I
have no idea if I'm safe on this podcast,
dude. I really hope she's not watching this.
Who cares? I mean, like you said, this is what we were talking about earlier. Like, who cares? Like, I mean, she is great.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention her name.
She knows who she is. She's not dumb. Women are so smart.
There's only one of her.
There's only one. There's only one. If you're a girl who's ever talked to Aaron, it's you. You're the one. You're the one he loves.
I did. And then I realized because it wasn't going to work out, I just still navigating that because it's like the emotional trauma that not that she inflicted on me, but I inflicted on myself. And that's the worst part, being like the villain of your own story. That sucks. That's happened to me so many times that it's like everyone wants to be the hero of their own story, but then you become the victim, or not the victim, the villain. Like you've done something to someone else, or you've done something to yourself. And it's just like, holy flip.
Yeah.
What kind of person am I? And then it's like you change yourself, you become better, and that's all good. But I don't know. It's just learning to forgive
Yeah.
myself.
That's a tough one, learning to forgive yourself. Like I made so many mistakes in my life, and like, you know, you can sit around and boohoo about it, but at the end of the day, like it's not productive for you. And eventually you just have to get to the point where you're just like, be better next time and move on. Like have a short-term memory. Like, you know, you watch football. I don't know if you do, but if you do watch football, like the best quarterbacks are the ones that can just like throw the interception, get back out there and go throw a touchdown on the next drive. Like I used to play quarterback in high school, and the hardest thing in the world was throwing like a pick six and then having to go right back out on the field, and just I'd be so terrified that it was the same thing was going to happen again. That's the hardest part about life, is like really up and then being like, get right back out there and do it again. You have to. It's life.